Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We'll be getting started in just a minute. Hello and welcome to all of you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for Ask Me, our educational webinar series. My name is Audra Hines, Vice President of Care Services for the Golden West chapter of the ALS Association. I want to express our very sincere thanks to all of our mission benefactor families, including the Ron Malone Fund and the Morris Family Caregiver Initiative, to name just a couple. The Golden West chapter is able to host an impressive number of these webinars, as well as build upon our programming for the future because of the generosity of donors like these. To kick off our webinar tonight, recent studies reported on the national annual costs related to ALS are calculated to be between $212 million to $1.4 billion each year in the United States. These costs include hospitalization, treatment, and non-hospital care costs, such as home care, home adaptations, and travel costs. Families living with ALS often have their finances ravaged by high costs of critical medical equipment, medications, caregiving expenses, not to mention a loss in income if a spouse or adult child needs to stop working to provide care for their loved one. As ALS impacts every part of a family's life, the Golden West chapter can provide short-term financial assistance for some types of costs. We offer equipment loans for communication devices, as well as power wheelchairs and lifts. And we provide small grants that can help with purchasing smaller types of equipment, respite care, and short-term mental health counseling if needed. Whether you're a person with ALS, a family member, caregiver, or friend of someone living with the disease, we want to help you find the support you need that's the right fit for you. For more information, please reach out to your care manager or visit alsagoldenwest.org to get connected. Tonight, we have a special guest with us to talk further about some ideas for financial planning after an ALS diagnosis. Dan Nguyen is a private wealth advisor with US Bank. He's responsible for providing comprehensive financial strategies tailored to his clients' specific needs. These include investment management, private banking, trust and estate services, and wealth planning. Dan takes the time to understand his clients' unique needs as he works closely with teams of specialists such as attorneys and accountants to provide services that help clients work toward their goals. Dan, thank you so much for being here tonight. We're thrilled that you could join us and spend some time with us this evening.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much everyone for joining. I appreciate it. Hopefully today I can be very educational, and thank you so much for the introduction. To the audience, I know it's it can be a difficult time, and I just wanted to provide some high-level clarity and things I do on a daily basis in regards to my practice and how I help my own clients. And I think it's very similar in a way where everything kind of leads with planning. I think the key to success in any business owner, retiree, is really creating that plan and having that plan in place and having those, I would say, a kind of a roadmap on the next steps to make it easier not only for yourself, but for your, I would say, beneficiaries, for your power of attorneys, and your successor trustees, and everything above. And the real concept I want to provide in any financial planning is really to outlive your assets, right? And be able to have the opportunity to pass it on to your loved ones and still live the life that you want to live. And with that, I'll kind of start the presentation. And I gave this presentation to Audra, so it could be distributed. I would use it as a guide. I think it's nothing wrong with a guide, in regards to referencing items and things that you might miss. So with that, I'll kind of share my screen and I'll start the presentation. Okay. Okay. Okay, so again, thank you for the introduction. This is titled Financial Planning Following an ALS Diagnosis, but let's just call it Financial Planning for a Challenging Life Event. I think that's a better title. So with that, I will call it Financial Planning for a Challenging Life Event. And just to kind of start, everything I do for a client, regardless of the net worth or where they are in their stages of life, it really always starts with a financial plan, and it really starts with being organized and understanding your balance sheet and having the advisors and understanding the resources available out there for any circumstances. And with that, I'll start with kind of understanding kind of the basics, and where I would start is understanding your health insurance and life insurance and any other benefits that you might have or might not know about. And I wanted to the bullet points that I want to kind of make specific or really questions, right? Are you asking these questions? Is your POA asking these questions? Is your beneficiaries asking these questions? Is the person supporting you asking these questions to really maximize the government programs out there, the programs that you currently have within your own balance sheet, and really understanding all the tools available to you? And I'll start off with really, your health insurance and disability policies, right? What kind of health insurance do you have? Is it employer provided? Is it a government exchange? Is it Medicare? Do you have Medicare supplement plan? Do you have a Medicare supplement plan? Medicaid? Do you have any disability insurance? Does your employer offer long-term disability benefits? Social Security disability insurance? I don't know, and I'm sure you know, ALS is listed on the compassion allowance conditions, which qualifies, I believe, for Social Security benefits to support ALS. When I was doing my own research, I found that out, and I think it's again a list that people can refer to really get those government benefits. So asking these questions and understanding what's available out there is so important, especially something life-changing like an ALS event. Next is life insurance and other benefits. What type of life insurance policies do you own, right? Do you know if you have term life? How long? Do you have permanent insurance? What's the cash value there? Are loans allowed on your policy? What are the key provisions in either the term or permanent life insurance that you have? Are there any living benefits? Are there waiver of premiums and accelerated benefits that you might not know about? And most employers, if you're employed, most employers offer no-cost life insurance. What other benefits does your employer offer? Do they offer paid or unpaid family leave? And do you have a long-term care policy? A lot of these insurance policies that people have really have what's called long-term care riders. Most people don't know that, but a lot of people take advantage of that and as a rider on their policy. So asking these questions to your advisor or insurance agent is very important to understand what the actual benefits are, besides using any current programs that you have or any government programs that you have. And again, just asking these questions are super important. Update your monthly budget and cash flow worksheet. and create goals, right? Every time I create a financial plan for a client, it always starts with what is the client's income? What are the sources of income the client has? What are their expenses? What are the future benefits? What are the assets that a client has, right? And every financial plan is tailored around a specific client's goals. And having that organized for, again, your power of attorneys, your beneficiaries, your successor trustees is so important. I've have so many stories where a client isn't organized, and it's just a bad experience for a lot of the people, the individuals that are going to guide them to their next stages of life. And again, I cannot emphasize how keeping things organized is so important in this next chapter of anyone's life that has a challenging life event. This is just an example of what I use for clients. It's a worksheet. It really lists everything in regards to water bill, gas bill, phone bill, what expenses that you currently have, what are future expenses. It highlights your income sources, determines new income sources from benefits, if any apply. You want to revisit your living expenses and make sure that they're updated, because it's very hard when you live your daily life and something happens. It's very normal that not everyone obviously knows. Your kids don't know what is actually going on. Everybody keeps things private until something really happens. And when something happens, it's very, and it depends on the condition, it's very hard to navigate all the assets and income and expenses and everything like that. So just having a budget worksheet, for example, is extremely important, and it's been very helpful for not only my own clients, but me personally as well. And then determining what your healthcare costs and add them also into the budget is also very important. Again, the concept of financial planning is really not to outlive your assets. It's to not outlive your assets, but also live the life that you want to live, and do it tailored to specific goals that you set for yourself, short term and long term. As part of the creating goals piece, I listed some short-term goals as examples and long-term goals as examples that I think that's very common for people in these challenging times. Plan a trip or vacation with your loved ones. I think spending time with your family, that's the most important thing that I cherish. So that could be a short-term or long-term goal, but spending as much time as possible with your family it could be a goal, right? Modifying or retrofit your home to fit your needs. Long-term goals: determine how you would like to distribute your estate. What kind of legacy would you like to leave for your beneficiaries and your loved ones? These are common goals, and both short-term and long-term. And just want to emphasize creating goals, because creating goals is always the key to developing a robust financial plan to kind of live by. Creating or updating a financial plan. It's really not only starting with an income and expense worksheet, but the second piece of the financial planning is really taking in account of all the inventory of your assets and liabilities, right? Every time I start a financial plan for a client, it's always, do you have a balance sheet, a personal balance sheet? Do you have a personal financial statement? Because I really can't create a plan for any individual in any specific situation if I don't really know what they have out there, right? Because I'm going to modify and forecast their assets and their cash flows based off of their goals, right? So, and it also too, a personal financial statement you want to keep handy and available, because if something does tragically happen and life is a little bit challenging, right? You want to make sure that your beneficiaries, your successor trustees, and your power of attorneys have access and actually know where your assets are. The only way to do that is to write them down, right? And what I always like to start off with is a personal financial statement. Where's the cash? It's your checking, your savings, your CDs, your investment accounts. Depending on your net worth or where you are in your stages of life, um, knowing what the asset allocation of your portfolio really matters, because you don't know when you need access to those funds, whether it's short-term or long-term. Retirement accounts, your 401ks, IRAs, pensions, your permanent life insurance policies with cash value, your real estate. That's important. Does it generate income? Does it not? Who are they titled to? Who do they belong to? Are they joint with another person that's not a family member? Business ownerships, cryptocurrencies, and other assets like collectibles and art are really what make up a personal financial statement. I'm going to emphasize this again. Having a personal financial statement is super important in order to start the base of a financial plan and to have clarity to, again, your power of attorneys, your beneficiaries, and any successor trustees that will help guide the next generation on with your assets. Determine how your assets are titled. Super important, right? Again, sometimes we go through life and we're not very aware of how things are titled, and it could be a problem in the future. So every time I do a financial plan for my clients, I always want to ask the clients, how are things titled? And are they titled properly, right? If they're not, then, do you have an estate attorney? Do you need a referral, right? I just want to make sure that clients know how things are titled can affect them in the future and affect them if, God forbid, something does happen to that specific individual in any challenging life event, right? So I always ask clients, are your accounts titled individually or jointly with a spouse or in a family trust? Are your assets correctly titled in the name of your trust? Do the financial institutions that you bank with have a copy of your most recent amended trust or current trust? What I see often is that a lot of people create trusts or wills and haven't really visited them within 5 or even more years. And what happens is a lot of things change in 5 to 10 years, and things that you thought were important 5 to 10 years ago are not important as they are now. And keeping a updated trust is super important in any financial planning or any financial discussion with family or with an advisor. Is your real estate vested correctly? Is it in community property? Is it joint tenancies in common? Is it on your family trust, right? Super important to know, especially the joint tenancy. A lot of people have properties that are joint tenants. They have a partner that is not a family member. What is that going to look like in regards to if something does happen to a specific individual, right? Does that friend get the property? Is that property titled accordingly, and is it labeled somewhere where your loved ones understand that this is 50% yours, right? Do your accounts have the appropriate beneficiaries? I would say 80% of the time when I look at clients' statements, they don't have a trust and they don't have a beneficiary, right? You want to make sure that, again, titling is important, and understanding having beneficiaries if something does happen in a tragic event is very, very important, because it avoids probate and other factors in regards to distribution of assets. Create or update your estate plan. You want to review, again, kind of stepping back, kind of review all these aspects that you see on the slide. You want to review your living trust. You want to review your revocable trust. You want to review your durable power of attorney, right? Making sure that this person that you assigned as your attorney in fact, or your power of attorney, is this person capable of handling the financial aspect of your life, right? You want to make sure that you have the right person. You want to make sure that you have advanced healthcare directives. Is that the right person? The HIPAA authorization, the physician orders for life-sustaining treatment, declaration of guardian for minor children, right? If you do you have minor children, you want to make sure that they're taken care of. All these are all items that need to be reviewed in a challenging life event, and something that I review with my team on a daily basis with my own clients. So keeping this in mind and being super prepared, and reviewing your estate plan and all these concepts and documents that are mentioned on the slide are super important, because again, a lot of the times I see that people don't review these items because life can be crazy, life can be busy, and things change in 5 to 10 years, and things might not be the same as they were 5-10 years ago, right? A lot can change in 5 to 10 years, where your income has doubled, or your assets have doubled, and now you're in a different position than you were 5-10 years ago. And you just want to make sure that the people that are supporting you know exactly what they're doing and if they're capable of doing it, and it's really to benefit yourself and your loved ones. Will versus a living trust. I won't go into crazy detail. I'll just speak on high level. Regardless of your net worth or your assets, you will choose one or the other, whether it's a will or living trust. One, you want to avoid probate, and specific amounts in specific geographical areas. You want to be aware that some, I would say some assets based on the level will be subject to probate. And these documents will be the key to kind of, I would say, written instructions and the baseline of what to do next, and how these assets are going to be distributed and to your beneficiaries, or whoever you state in your trust or will. Wills are more simpler and they're less expensive, and a trust, they're a little bit more detailed, but can also be simple at the same time. But just know that the base documents that will govern what happens next is typically a will or living trust. And lastly, get organized, right? A lot of the times I'm shocked on how disorganized someone is, and it is very it becomes very troublesome for the people that are helping them out. Just being organized is super important. Having so many different passwords, just myself alone, I have 10 passwords to 10 different things, and having those ready to have someone that you trust, like your power of attorney or your successor trustee, have access to is super important, because it's your life. We live in a digital world, and we want to make sure that the person that is helping us have these documents written down so they can help you efficiently. And having copies of your ID, social security, stating and writing down where your safe deposit box keys are, where your birth certificates are, and having a list of your key advisors, attorneys, doctors is super important. And at the end of the day, it's really, when someone has a challenging life event, it's a hard time, but the person that's helping you out, the person that you've entrusted with your life, is going to, and you want them to have you want them to have a easy way to help you out. And the only way to do that is to be extremely organized, right? And to write things down in your personal financial statement, to write things down on your budget worksheet, and then tailoring those assets and income to your goals. And the only way to do that is just be organized and write things down. And with that, that is the end of my financial planning presentation for people with challenging life events. I'm happy to answer any questions. I tailored this presentation to the audience, and I would, I encourage you to reach out to Audra, and you have access to this slide. So it's kind of I would say a roadmap to what next steps for someone with a challenging life event.
This has been great, Dan. Thank you so much. A really nice overview. A couple of questions, and we had people submit a couple of questions ahead of time before the webinar tonight. Just thinking about someone who's maybe lower income and struggling to pay for home care or some of their expenses associated with ALS. Is your advice different based on income level around some of these tough questions and planning decisions?
No, it's not. For me, part of the reason what I do is I help everybody in regardless of its net worth, or this is just the position I'm in now. But I have friends, I have parents, I have cousins, I have colleagues of every such sort, and the advice is always the same. What is your income? What is your expenses? Do you have a budget worksheet? Do you write things down? Do you have a personal financial statement? Regardless if you have 10,000, 10 million, I mean, it doesn't matter. Those are the bases of what it takes to create a financial plan, to be organized, and to really tailor those income and expenses and assets to your overall goals. So the advice is not different.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is it could be simple or it could be complicated. But in regards to how I approach clients that have a high net worth or don't have a high net worth is exactly the same.
Thank you for that. We have a question asking, he says, I would like to access some life insurance for care costs, and vacation. My insurance policy requires 1 year life expectancy time frame. Will the doctor provide this time frame, if you know that? And can creditors or the IRS come after distributed funds from the life insurance?
From the life insurance has, and it really depends on the life insurance. Every policy is completely different. So I kind of don't want to speak on something specific because I don't want to give the wrong information, especially because there are so many different type of policies that we offer to clients, right? The insurance company matters. The type of policy, when you got the policy matters. So my question to that would be, or sorry, my answer to that would be, I would call the insurance company and get specific instructions and data in regards to answering that specific question, because one policy might work different than the other. And if I answer this question based off of an insurance company that I know about, it may not be the same with another company.
Gotcha. He's saying it's a term policy. He's saying he did call them. So we'll see if he gives any other information here too. So.
Okay.
What's the cost of setting up a trust versus a will?
I would say, and again, depends on the attorney, but a basic trust shouldn't cost you more than between $1,500 to $2,000. I would say that's a range. And again, it depends on the attorney that you work with, right? But yeah, I'd say $1,500, a very basic trust would be probably 1,500 to 2,000. A will, I mean, a will can literally be, some people have wills and don't have in a crazy estate. Some people just create their own wills with their own Word document, right? I, Dan, have these specific assets and this and this and this, and I wish this to pass on to this specific individual. I sign it, I get it notarized, and it could be very basic, right? But you want to probably keep that will with somebody that, with your personal financial statement, and you probably want to get it notarized. But if you want to make it official, you can go to an attorney, and that's a lot cheaper. That can probably cost between, I don't know, $500, maybe cheaper, depending on the attorney. But people can create their own wills and get it notarized for free.
Okay. Yeah, that was another question, just in terms of whether an attorney is needed for securing either of those types of documents.
Mm-hmm. A trust for sure, not a trust for sure. You need a trust attorney or estate planning attorney. A will, you also need a trust and estate planning attorney, or you could do it yourself, depending on the level of sophistication of the client.
Okay. You don't know this, that's okay. There's a question that was submitted ahead of time, just around wondering if there are tax breaks or deductions perhaps for people living with ALS, if you know.
I don't know that answer, but this is what I tell clients. I tell clients this, that there are going to be three people that are very important in their lives, right? And that is, one, your CPA, two, your attorney, and three, your financial or investment advisor. Those three people will be able to help you out and do investment strategies, financial planning, give legal advice, and tax advice. I unfortunately can't give tax advice because I'm legally cannot, but I would say that is more of a CPA question. So with that three-prong approach, I think anybody can answer any question and get help.
Okay. Someone's asking if you might be able to discuss more just about the pros and cons of probate. This person saying they've witnessed times without it, when there are multiple executors of the estate left without really a guide around what to do.
So probate is a very difficult situation. I mean, I think
Uh-oh, Dan, I think you froze.
that when you have a probate situation, to help you with that, right? Instead, I was going to say that in the state of California, anything over 100,000 is subject to probate. So if you don't have your assets titled properly, and there is a situation where, probate's involved, you're going to have a hard time dealing with the courts, and the only way to deal with that is with an attorney. So that's why I thought that, part of the financial planning process for someone diagnosed with an ALS is really to identify, how is your titling? These specific slides I picked because I think it's super important to understand all these concepts. And we overlook it because we live busy lives, but titling is very important. And if you're subject to probate, I mean, it's going to be a nightmare in regards to dealing with the courts, and you have to hire an attorney. So if you have over 100,000 in assets, you need to create a trust.
And do you, another question we had too, do you have, just in your experience, in your time as people are planning financially and setting up their estate documents, sometimes these conversations can be difficult to have with other family members, and naming people in certain documents, and having difficult conversations when they're at tough places in their lives. Do you have any advice around that, just in your experience and your time as you've seen different families kind of move through that process and how that goes?
You know, I always say, I feel that, having I've been doing this for since 2007. I don't, in all the conversations I've had with clients, I have rarely found that it's been a difficult conversation, right? Because what you're doing is you're protecting your loved ones. What you're doing is you're setting a plan if something bad happens. And people are very, especially the people that you want to appoint as a power of attorney, those are probably people you trust, and they're probably more than happy to do it. So I wouldn't consider a difficult conversation. I would consider a conversation that is needed, and that the people that you are talking to about it will understand. Because again, we don't know, we're not promised every day, and to have a plan in place if something does happen like that is not a difficult conversation.
Thanks for that. And just a quick reminder, if there are any other questions, just please go ahead and put them in the Q&A. I don't see any others in there now, but to that last point you made, Dan, we always tell people too that whether you have a serious diagnosis or not, it's important to, as adults, right, to have a plan in place and have some of these documents in order. And it sounds like that's what you're suggesting.
Correct. The worst thing you could do is not have things in order. It just provides a lot of difficulty for the person, trying to take care of the next steps of your life or your beneficiaries. So I've seen a lot of nightmare situations, and that's why for my own clients, I really stress everything I just said in the presentation. And the audience, I don't know their net worth or anything like that, but I just know, kind of going back to the first question, is the approach is the same regardless.
That's great. And as we wrap up, Dan, because I don't see any other questions, I'm going to make a few remarks, but if you're open to it and you would like to put your contact information in the chat for people to reach out to you if they're interested in just getting some of this process started, I know that would be really appreciated by some of the people in our audience, so that'd be great.
Yes, I am. I would tell my clients I'm an open book. You can call me, email me anytime, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions anybody has and provide any advice that I can give to any client. So yes, I'll be more than happy to do that. And I'll also put my work cell and corporate email too as well.
Terrific. I love that. And I think we have a couple more slides if someone else will show those now. I really want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, Dan. This has been wonderful. And for the rest of you, we're grateful to our audience for joining us tonight as well. I want to invite you to save a couple of dates coming up soon. Our SoCal Ride, Hike, and Walk to Defeat ALS is coming soon on May 6th. And the celebration of Lou Gehrig Day is on June 2nd this year. Additionally, the next installment of our Ask Me series, like the one tonight, will be on May 16th, and this one will be discussing ALS treatments and therapies. You all are an important part of our ALS community, so please do join us for any and all of these programs and events. We'd love to see you there. And as you know, philanthropy fuels everything we do, and we're so grateful to committed donors who give generously throughout the year. To learn more about how you can support the valuable programs we offer, like this one tonight, please visit our website at give.alsagoldenwest.org. And if you'd like a free copy of the chapter's estate planning guide, please visit alsgiftplanning.org. Please watch for the short survey on tonight's presentation that you'll receive to help us plan for future programs like this one. Thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.